Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Gillian Barry, and today we have an incredible guest for you guys. We have John, and he's online under Raw Alchemy, and he is actually today on day 200 of his juice fast. So we're going to talk all about this, find out why is he doing this, how has the experience been, the benefits, the spiritual aspect, everything. He's an incredible person, and he's also a high raw vegan as well. So he's been doing that for about 10 years. We're going to talk about his experience with that. So let's get right into it. Give this video a big thumbs up right now. Make sure you subscribe if you don't already. And let's say hello to John. How's it going, John?
Oh, hey, Gillian, it's going great. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm a huge fan of your channel, and I've told a few of my friends recently, but I was really largely inspired by some of your recent interviews this past year to carry on with this juice feast, and it served me really well. So I appreciate that. But yeah, super happy to be here with you today.
Amazing. And it's an honor to have you on. And we're so grateful to have you on this big monumental day. So you have only been drinking fresh pressed juices for today is day 200. So no solid food. So I'm wondering
Yeah.
what led you to embark on such a big juice fast?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Over the past 10 and a half years where I was, either fully raw or raw till dinner at some point, I've watched pretty much everybody I can get my hands on YouTube. I've been a big YouTube consumer for the most part, but I've learned a lot through YouTube. And so I pretty early on came across videos by like John Rose. I guess he was like my largest influence for a while, really, really excellent videos. He's so passionate. I felt like he was being very truthful. And so in the back of my mind, I just kept watching his videos whenever they came out and just kind of like archived what I was learning from him. And I don't know, I can't say I consciously knew I would do a juice feast one day. And I'm really not a cleansing guy. I'd like to share that. I'm not the kind of guy who's done like, I don't know, the master cleanse and this cleanse and that cleanse. I'm really like a high calorie, I feel like in order to stay, to thrive plant-based, you keep your calories high, keep your carbs high. If you'd like to stay raw, keep your fruit really, really high to get your calories, your hydration, basically your nutrition that way, and keep your variety as wide as possible within your region and stuff. So I'm kind of like the opposite of anyone who fasts or cleanses, but I have done a few fruit mono meals over the years. Like I did 21 days on all watermelon. I eventually allowed fresh squeezed juices on that too, just to get some more like variety and nutrition in. That's one reason why I love juice feasting, because you can literally go to the produce section, ask your body, what would you like? How can I serve you? And it can choose pretty much anything in the produce department, and you can just go home and juice it and give your body all of that nutrition, as opposed to like a mono fruit island or something where it's like one item for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
But so anyway, throughout the years, I gradually got cleaner and cleaner. About a year and a half ago, any cooked food really, my body started kind of, I don't want to say completely rejected it, but I started to feel a stark contrast between my fully raw days and my raw till dinner days. It just seemed to make me extra sluggish. It didn't feel like it was digesting as well. And I'm talking about simple foods like potatoes and rice and steamed veggies and stuff like that. It felt like my level of consciousness, my personal like vibration, if you will, kind of was at a certain speed, kind of ramping up. And the cooked food was at a different speed. And it would actually cause like what I would consider some form of like almost like anxiety or something. It felt like my body was, I don't know, like I said, going at one vibrational speed. And then the food I was putting in was at a different speed. And it would take like half a day for it to feel like it digested. I had like some mild like acid reflux, things like that. Just a little bit of communication with my body back to me, like feedback that just started telling me like, let's go all raw more often, And so I went with it. But yeah, and so it led to a period of about 4 months. I actually, prior to the beginning of this 200 days, I went 4 months extremely high raw, like 98%, 99% raw, and not just raw, but mostly fruit juice and smoothies. So a high liquid, very high raw. I think I took 2 to 3 bites of like a taste of food, maybe my roommate cooked something, my sister at the time. I tried a few things and it wasn't jiving with me, like anything cooked, even though I love the taste of that. I was kind of accustomed to it. It was the feeling really. Beyond this 200 days, I was pretty high liquid, like fruitarian style, for 4 months leading up to it. I was almost like a precursor or pre-cleanse to the juice feast. So I think my body did a fair amount of cleansing throughout that time. That really helped me out. It's been a really, really smooth juice feast. I mean, my last longest juice feast was 14 days, and that was a couple of years back. I was going to be happy if I went like 21, just kind of like maybe surpassed my last juice feast, went a little bit longer, see how it felt. But after I've been telling people, I've been getting so many questions lately. I've been sharing that after like 14 to 21 days, definitely by like day 40, I kind of felt like something was taking over. It's like literally felt like something took over, and I have absolutely no appetite. I'm starting to get it back now. Like because it's summertime, mangoes are in season. I'm seeing jackfruits at the grocery store. I love fruit. I believe fruit is our food, and those are the things that are like probably going to bring me back from juice. It's like mango, bananas, fruits that you don't necessarily juice that I really miss. But anyway, so yeah, it was a very gradual transition over the years, and then a really strong calling. I don't know, 6-7 months ago on the juices. One day, my body said, "Yeah, you know how good you feel in the morning." I was kind of doing juice and fruit and hydrating fruit for breakfast, then a giant full Vitamix smoothie with like 10 and 12 bananas, mango, assorted berries, maybe a handful of spring mix or something. That's been my lunch for the past 10 and a half years, most days. And then like dinners, I would do a second smoothie or mono meal of fruit or something. And my body just said like, "Hey, you know how you feel amazing during that juice at breakfast time? Let's do all juice today." And so I did, and then felt incredible all day. And then, the next day my body said, "Let's do it again." I said, "Okay, juice." And it's literally been, to be honest, day by day, where I check in with my body. And obviously at some point I got on a roll, and I knew, like I said, around day 40, 50, this like inner voice said, "You're going to go a long time." By that time I had binge watched everything on YouTube. I think I watched every juicing video on your YouTube channel. And again, I thank you. They're really incredible. You ask the best questions, and your audience asks the best questions too in the comments. So it's a great community.
They do.
But
They're so
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, I can't even express how helpful it is, because especially like Sarah Erica, for example, her 365-day experience, there was a time between day 40 and 70, like complete fear kind of started to settle in with me. Like you start to hear people talk about you're going to ruin your microbiome and you won't be able to digest again and all this. And I knew I was at this point where I was either going to stop and turn around and go back to whatever, my fruitarian path, which is incredible on its own, actually. But my body wanted me to keep going on juices. And so the juice community has been amazing, but a lot of people have gone 90 days or more, reached out to me just intuitively. They just reached out to me to say, "Yo, great job. How do you feel? Do you have any questions?" And I've made some awesome friends over these past few months. And a lot of them encourage me, "Don't worry." I've got friends who've gone a really long time. And also Nail, Nice Joe, his channel, his interviews with you, going 200 days. He did a really nice job of documenting his juice feast. So the fact that he was back to eating, a really healthy raw vegan diet for the most part, and same with Sarah, brought me a lot of encouragement that I'm going to be fine. And my body was telling me, "You're going to be fine." I think the thing is, most people, all I want is fruit. Like literally what's astonished me is I was a little bit more into like thinking, "Oh, when I go fully raw, I'll learn to be more of a raw chef, and I'll incorporate some more complex meals and use some nuts and seeds and the dehydrator more." But on this juice feast, all I could think about is just fruit meals, mono fruit meals, juicing still. So I find it fascinating. I don't know. It's just been a real clarifying experience. Of course, long term, who knows? I'm going to see how I do. So I'm staying open-minded to what my diet will look like. But at the moment, it seems like it'll be for the most part fruitarian, with occasional like low-fat raw meals and stuff like that. But and still going to be juicing a lot, I think, especially like if I ever want greens or something. I think I would juice them.
Yeah. It does
They
so
go down
much to
really quickly.
incorporate the juices into your, even when you're not doing a juice cleanse, just to incorporate the juices into your daily diet. Even like when I have a fresh green juice or fresh grapefruit or orange juice, it just lifts your vibe and just gives you this energy that is almost inexplainable unless you start doing it. So I'm wondering, did
Yeah.
you have a main purpose when you set out to do this juice cleanse? And maybe did the purpose change in the beginning versus like where it's at now for continuing on? And are you going to continue on, or is like this the end, day 200, or are we going to keep going?
That's a really good question. I'm fully surrendered to my body more than anything. That's another lesson my body. It's really interesting. There's a few really poignant lessons. One of them is listen to me. My body tells me, listen to me. It's great to get everyone else's feedback and experience and kind of archive it in the back of my mind. But ultimately, it's like check in with me from every meal, every day when I juice. That's like you asked me, my watermelon juice. I put some berries in it. It's like I stock up my fruit rack massively every week. And then I check in with my body every day. And it's like very precise what it's asking me for, like both when I'm
Mhm.
shopping and then when I'm home preparing. So it's like it knows exactly, which nutrients it's longing for. And anyway, so as far as how long I'm going to go, I'm really just going to take it day by day and check in. It seems like, but it's been going on for a month or two now, but there was a period especially from like day 21 to 40, where my appetite completely faded it was to the extent that I was almost concerned, like, oh my goodness, my appetite for juice didn't. I would feel hungry for the juice. I needed the calories, the hydration, the energy. And I was doing a lot of juices, like 8 32-ounce juices a day, the first couple months. Eventually, I settled into 7, sometimes 6 if it's not a very busy day for me. But generally high, pretty high on juice, keeping my calories high. And gosh, I don't know. I'm getting sidetracked here, but I just like to really kind of like hammer that home in a way. I think it's really important for me personally. It was like one of my the techniques that led to success for me was
Mhm.
listening to my body and also keeping my juice calories really high. And when I was raw, it
Yeah.
was the same. When I was cooked till dinner, it was the same too, even if it was my calorie source was potatoes at night or rice or whatever, and vegetables. So that's worked really well. And yeah, I think I was going to say that my appetite, my desire to chew or to eat has been returning for a few different reasons over the past 30 to 45 days. And although it's really fascinating, you can still tell that there's still stuff in there. There's still waste. I'm still having like bowel movements every day, for example.
Wow.
So what I'm getting is you can feel them lessening, but I still do feel congestion, like in my lower abs, right around my navel, like my belly button. You can actually feel a little bit of waste in there. It's really, really interesting. So,
Wow.
so I really think my body is saying, "Hey, we're on a roll." It's taken months to rehydrate the old waste, because I haven't done any psyllium husk, no bentonite clay, no supplements whatsoever. I still once or twice a week put a couple drops of like my B12 or a couple spritzes of my B12 supplement, which I'm not even sure how I feel about that anymore, but it's a habit I've gotten into
Mhm.
just
I
to be
think it's
safe.
good though. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, it can't hurt. I feel fine. The feedback my body gives me is like, I feel fine after. I only do like half a spritz. I'm kind of a less is more guy. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
And
no other.
talking about
Go ahead.
the waste. So I'm just wondering, I know this is a really controversial topic, so much so sometimes when I even bring it up, people in the raw community or the not raw community will reach out to me and have a lot of very strong opinions on this. And I like to bring it up because
Yeah.
it's a very big topic, mucoid plaque, right? Some people believe it's not real, some people believe it is real, and I respect everybody's opinion. And so I'm wondering, do you think mucoid plaque is real? But you said you didn't use any psyllium in a husk. Have you seen any come out of you or anything like crazy come out of you on this cleanse, this 200-day cleanse?
That's a really great question too. I have not seen anything that even closely resembles like the mucoid plaque you see online, like the real greasy, dark, nasty, long piece. Like I haven't seen anything that resembles that. I do think,
Mhm.
that largely in part to a pretty high raw diet for 10 and a half years. I think maybe some of that stuff would have come out during my monofruit cleanses and things like that. but nothing that resembles that. However, I've had, you know, I've had, I don't know, I don't want to be too graphic, but I've had some, bowel movements that smaller pieces resembled kind of like the shape of
Yeah.
the mucoid plaque. Like you can kind of tell, John Rhodes mentions this, like if you have diverticulitis, I think is how you pronounce it. Most people's intestines are kind of deformed and damaged, and there's parts that are real swollen, parts that are real narrow. And your waist, especially the older waist, which is how I can tell I still have waist, because you can kind of tell the fresh juice sort of waste. I strain most of my juices. I don't really want any pulp in there. I was really, really strict about it the first like 4 months, using like a nut milk bag for almost every juice. But
Wow.
now I use like a metal strainer, except for my melon
Mhm.
juices, which don't seem to have too much fiber. But so you're still getting some fiber, and you can tell when it's juice, and you can tell when it's old. When it's old, it still is taking the shape of like what looks like my lower intestines or certain parts of your intestines. And it's more like clay. It's like Play-Doh kind
Mhm.
of. And you can tell, because I'll like roll up a paper towel and poke and prod, and like I want to understand the texture a little bit. You can tell by the odor. And it feels so very gratifying to get it out, because I mean, even if this is like recent waste from like my raw till dinner days, and it's just potatoes and rice and beans and steamed veggies, it's mind-blowing that it's still in my body. And you
Mhm.
actually do, I've noticed, overall you do feel a sense of relief every time you eliminate that
Like
stuff.
more so on the cleanse, you feel like?
Yeah, it's real. Everything is real obvious on this juice feast. I'm so sensitive right now. Your intuition becomes really, really, really heightened. And to the point where you kind of feels like you have ESP, or you're telepathic in
Yeah.
some
And why do
regard.
you think I know when I did a 37-day juice cleanse, I felt the same too. I felt like so connected spiritually. Why do you
Yeah.
think that we experience that level of like connection and like intuition on these cleanses versus when we're not on these cleanses, or when we're clean eating, even like even raw? I get a sense of that too, but cleansing is just like next
Yeah.
level. So why do you think that that happens?
Yeah. That's a great question. I think it's due to the fact that we really inundate our bodies when we're eating the incorrect food for our bodies. Like I personally believe like cooked food isn't for us. I believe like any processed food is really not for us. Nuts and seeds and things like that, or even a little bit, especially after this juice feast, they're a little bit questionable for me now too, unless they're really well cultivated, soaked. Even then, it's probably way harder for your body to assimilate and absorb the nutrition from them, compared to like fruit, for example, or really tender baby greens or something like that, perhaps, which is also another questionable thing that's come up. But so I really think it's the ease of digestion. So I feel like our body, and this has all kind of come to me intuitively on this juice feast. It's been like a steady stream of downloads and kind of like communication between the universe and me, or my body and me. But our body is like an instrument. It's like it's a vessel. It's so much to us. Like it houses our spirit. It's our vehicle to get around in the physical world. I know we all have cars and planes, trains, and automobiles too, but really, first and foremost, it's our vehicle. It's like our avatar almost. If anyone's familiar with that movie, it's like literally this is our experience, and our body is our avatar. It's phenomenal, and it's a finely tuned instrument. And so like a car has a very specific fuel. I believe our bodies do also. And so when we're putting the wrong foods in, it's an incredible burden. I don't think a lot of people realize that, if you're exhausted after a meal, your body is literally in a state of emergency. Like if you ate something and your body has to physically shut down, like that Thanksgiving dinner kind of feeling, it's serious. That's really something to pay attention to. And most of us, I know I did, spend most of our lives in that state. When we're in that state, I believe our body prioritizes keeping us alive, and moving the waste, that
Mhm.
moving the incorrect foods through us.
That is a
and
good
and
point. I have read, sorry to interrupt you, I think with the Hippocrates Institute or somewhere, they've done studies where they've shown when you eat like, especially with processed foods or barbecued foods or like foods that aren't intended for us, that our white blood cell count literally goes up, right? Say acting like it's almost like a foreign invader. It's kind of crazy. I don't think people really realize the effect of how much what we choose to put in affects us.
Absolutely. I think that's what it all comes down to. I don't think our body has the time, space, or energy to even allow us access to our like higher resources, like our higher consciousness, our intuition. Those come after. It's like, let's keep this dude alive. Let's figure out how to keep them hydrated enough. You just put a bunch of salt in there. It's like, I think our body is just trying to keep up, and it just numbs us out to the point where the capacity for those to be that receptive is just secondary, and we just don't even experience it for something along the lines of that reason. So when we ease the digestion by going like, lower fat, raw, really clean fruit, tender greens, soaked nuts and seeds, like, you know, that is way, way, way more in line with what nature intended for us. And so your body starts to, not to mention, I do think there's some really interesting texts and stuff that I've come across, but like kind of like your kundalini, like I've heard like your intestinal tract, like from your mouth all the way through is it's like your river of life. It's like where your kundalini flows. It's I've heard like it's the river of life, and what you choose to float down that river determines everything for you, And so when that is encumbered with waste, you're blocking that. And I believe there's something to that. It flows through your 7, like your energy centers, your chakras. So I've actually had like visions come to me, and this was even when I was raw till dinner. Over the years, I would have these moments, these glimpses of what was possible, where it was like a wire, like a conduit, like a wire running. That's almost like what the river of life is, your intestinal tract is. And when it's open and clear, even just open and clear enough to allow some juice to flow, not juice like I'm drinking, but like energy, electricity to flow through it, you experience these higher states. When it's like fully encumbered and we have massive blockages, I think a lot of people are really dimmed out to those states. But so I really believe it's important. It's really important to cleanse that part of your body out, and it seems to affect every other part of us. But there's just something to it. I'm still putting it all together. I feel like there's a handful of us out there that have our eye and our mind on these things, and I'm fascinated by it. I think I've been like calling it, like, I don't know, like the new school raw vegan movement or something. There's like a new crowd. They're more fruit based. They're more fruitarian based. Less greens, less nuts and seeds, things like that, and they're kind of feeling amazing. I'm interested to see where it goes,
Yeah. And I'm wondering, like, on this juice fast, have you had any major spiritual revelations? Any like big spiritual aha moments that have come to you, or any great books that you've been drawn to?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, as far as books go, one that's come up recently that I really love is Anne Osborne's what is it? Fruitarianism, The Path to Paradise is incredible. It's a little bit, maybe, I'm not sure how easy it is to find. It might be on Amazon. I've seen it going for a lot of money on Amazon. It's like a really precious book because she's been over 30 years, I believe, fruitarian.
Yeah, I
Raised her
interviewed
children.
her. She's pretty accessible, so I can I'll try put her links or that interview below too.
Okay, cool. Yeah, her book is really, really beautiful to me. The Essene Gospel of Peace is really, really profound to me. Like, it almost makes me tear up when I read it. It just resonates so strongly. That's been a huge influence on me and my diet. As soon as I read that book, every time I was like raw till dinner, after that, it made me think about what I was like feeding myself, made me think about what I was putting in my mouth. But I really, really, that book resonates really, really strongly. And then like the standard books that I always tell people like change my life are for sure the 80-10-10 diet, Dr. Doug Graham's work, Dr. Morse's work. The Detox Miracle Source book is incredible, especially if your aim is to heal something significant. And the Mucusless Diet Healing System. Those books, without a doubt, have just been like so powerful to me. The Mucusless Diet really opened my eyes to the fact that like Arnold Ehret kind of feels like he kind of describes the body almost like as a machine. Like I was saying, our cars, they need a very specific like octane. It's not even just gasoline. It's like an octane of gasoline. And the closer you get to that specific octane, the better it performs, right? So I really, as far as like the most profound insights that have come to me, like that's been one of them, is like less is more. We don't need this massive variety of what we call foods, like whole grains and beans and animal products and processed foods and supplements. What's come to me personally, and again, and this may change in the future, but the clarity that I've been shown is it's more like fruit is our food, and the thousands of varieties of fruit are the variety. It's way, way more. And I think in the future, hundreds of years from now, it's going to be common sense. It's going to be like, of course. But right now, it's so controversial. But everything is in excess right now. It's more like everyone's like leaning towards the side of gluttony and excess and overdoing it with everything. The planet's suffering for it. Most people are suffering health-wise. It's life is simpler than that. So it's been a very clarifying experience as far as, like I said, all I'm craving is literally just eating some fruit. It'll be nice to eat. I still have the habit of a handful of times throughout this juice feast, I'm cutting my watermelon. If it's a sweet melon that like cracks open and it's awesome, in the past, I would eat that. And it in a way, it's like, it is going to be a delicious juice also, but like my tendency is to eat it. So I've almost popped a piece in my mouth. That's usually what I do. Or I'm prepping grapes and then I'll pop one in my mouth while I'm prepping.
Yeah.
But my natural tendency, it's almost like how you say, like, if you put a certain food in front of a child and then a piece of fruit, like a bunny rabbit and like a piece of melon, they're going to like play with the rabbit, eat the melon.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. I've almost had a tendency on a handful of occasions to just pop fruit in my mouth. I find myself thinking about eating fruit, but that's the only thing. The idea of putting like especially cooked grains or legumes or anything processed seems absolutely devastating to me, like how sensitive I am right now.
And you
And I
haven't had
really believe
cravings
that,
for like any of it, right?
Gillian, absolutely not. I do when I smell a burrito or smell pasta. I think I'm like Italian American. I think pasta is like in my DNA. It's so deep into my cells. But thank God there's raw vegan pasta recipes. But like I appreciate the smell, but I also sense the addictive quality of a lot of things, like certain foods, like maybe at work someone will have a pepperoni pizza. I'll smell I'll smell pepperoni or bacon or things like that in my environment. It's like there's nothing inherently necessary about eating pepperoni or bacon. I don't believe there's like anything. It's not bringing any well-being. It's not like comparing
Yeah.
it to debatable topics like brown rice or steamed broccoli or even like a plain chicken breast. Or it's not like that. It's highly processed.
Yeah.
There's hence, so you can sense, like, I'm not going to be duped into it. It's like I've experienced enough where I know that is, I don't know if they're doing it intentionally. Sure seems like it makes sense that they would, but whatever they're putting in Doritos and Pringles and bacon, it's like there's something highly addictive there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been noticing that since I went vegan 10 and a half years ago. I would, after months and a few years, like, pretty high raw vegan, I wasn't craving like a filet mignon or a salmon filet. I was craving, like, if I had any cravings come up once in a while, it was like Taco Bell, the 7-layer burrito I used to get, or the crunchy
Mm-hmm.
taco supreme, or like a pepperoni pizza. So I'm like, well, that's odd. Why would I crave that? I don't believe there's anything inherently valuable nutritionally in those foods. There's got to be something else going on. So there's part of it is just the knowledge where and then I almost feel like a real strong passion. I'll try not to say the word anger towards those industries, but like a passion about absolutely, this has to stop. Like, absolutely not. People are dying. People's lives are being, greatly, greatly inhibited by this industry and these foods and the marketing behind it and all the like BS. And so that's actually what's driven probably my will to, it's been like my will to overcome that, be an
Mm-hmm.
example, be someone brave enough to overcome it. Because a lot of people are just kind of brainwashed enough to think that we actually need to eat in moderation. And some of that's moderation and it can't hurt, but no, that has not been my experience. So
Me too. I don't
I'm
really believe
happy
in the
to,
moderation.
No, it's a really widely used term, and it's kind of a scapegoat for a lot of people's habits and stuff. And yeah, I'm with you. I don't either, especially after this juice feast. Overwhelmingly, and I don't even, yeah, I just don't believe in it either. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, I would love to
But
rewind for a second. I saw a picture on your Instagram that you posted and it was a side by side. I'll try put it on the screen right now. And it was before, I think you were 29, and then on the right and the after you're 44, right? And so
yeah,
before is I think when you, I mean, you look great. Before is I think before you embarked being high raw, right? And before you started your health journey. So I'm wondering, how did you feel in that lifestyle before versus now? Are you a lot happier? What are some of the benefits you experienced? And I always love to ask people, where do you think your life would be right now had you kept continuing on like that high Taco Bell path and like that different path you were on or whatever in the before?
yeah. Thanks for asking that. That's awesome. Um, my goodness, I feel like a different person now. Like I literally like get choked up if I think about it. But it's changed my life in every way. Like entirely changed me. So all for the better. Yeah, it's funny, but like one of the side effects of juicing too, besides running to the restroom a little bit more frequently, is
Yeah.
like you're more emotional, like you're more tuned into everything. So
Yeah.
like,
100%.
everything flows, including emotions. Like,
Yeah. Cleansing can be so emotional. Yeah.
yeah, it's what I guess that's what it doesn't even feel too cleansing to me because I've only had a handful of experiences where I felt a little dizzy or a little fatigue, or I've been so blessed over the years eating very clean and doing some cleansing along the way that I had a really smooth 200 days so far. It's really a blessing. It feels amazing, but yeah, everything flows like, and like talk about like manifestation and stuff. Like you think of something and it presents itself. It's really interesting.
Wow.
I've learned to really guard my thoughts. I mean, and that's been something that's improved. That's been one of the benefits, as you just asked, from like 10 and a half years ago till now. But
So you feel like you're a more powerful creator essentially on this fast. Wow. That's so interesting to me.
and in a sense where you can perceive of your deeper desires more clearly, your inspiration flows like coming through like the crown chakra, like feeling inspired for an idea, visualizing the idea, being able to clearly communicate, speak about your idea, feel the idea. And then down here, like chakras 1 through 3, I feel like that has to do with like where the rubber meets the road. You have not only the confidence to put your ideas into action mode, but you have the energy to do it, the time to do it. The cleaner you go, the less sleep you need, the more energy you're yielding and you have to work with. It's heartbreaking and so debilitating to have these awesome, you'll still get some great ideas. Like when I was living back then and numbing myself out and not even realizing what was going on, I still had some ideas and some desires flowing through. I would talk about them a lot. I didn't really make them happen as much. And there's, like I was saying, there's a bunch of reasons: the lack of energy, the lack of confidence, lack of time, like a bunch of things that the really cleaner, especially when you get into like the raw vegan path, the low fat raw vegan path, and the fruitarian path, everything accelerates and you find yourself acting out. That's what I believe has to do with like the 7 chakras and the river of life and the kundalini. There's something there that I haven't quite put my finger on, but when that channel is clear and open, everything goes from inspiration and like divine download kind of from that realm to action way more smoothly, way more swiftly. And the type of person I am, I would say I've been on kind of somewhat of a spiritual path since I was like a teenager, asking like deep questions and things like that, wondering why they're suffering and struggle and stuff like that. And it seems like as soon as I discovered the raw vegan path, that was the culmination of all the spiritual knowledge and wisdom I had attained. Just walking that path and actually implementing it the best I could was like the best way I could live in alignment with all the spiritual. It got to a point where like I've had 2 beautiful plant medicine ceremonies over the past few years too. And that was almost like instantaneous. Like I feel like this juice feast has put me in that same realm, but it's been like a perpetual, gradual, gentle experience of a plant medicine ceremony, you know?
And has
And
this been your
so,
favorite? Or sorry, go ahead.
uh, um, no, I was just gonna say, and so some clarity came to me in those plant medicine ceremonies that staying raw was everything. Staying fruit-based raw was everything. Like if simply doing that, it automatically opens up your spiritual channels. It improves your mental capacity. So in other words, if someone's interested in like manifesting or human potential for their life, it's like the most powerful thing you can do. And it's like the plant medicine experience has told me personally, it was beautiful. So it was, I've done ayahuasca. And so Mother Ayahuasca thanked me. A lot of it was gratitude I was feeling for walking a path that was so similar to what I believe nature, or it seemed like it was confirming this, that this is what nature wants us all to do. And then even more gratitude for being willing to share that with others, to spread that knowledge. Almost like that was Mother Ayahuasca's purpose, was to allow shaman and people to share it far and wide, because it opens people up to this, because the planet needs it, like Mother Earth needs it. And so anyway, I've had massive confirmation that this is the right path. And even when I had doubt, where I was still like, oh, brown rice can't be all bad, but you need steamed broccoli, but you need peas, it's, boiled, whatever, like whatever I was eating. My body and the world around me was pretty forgiving, thank goodness, but it still was firm, had a firm enough hand to continually steer me back to, for me, it was, a high fruit, a low fat, raw vegan path. Anyway, go ahead. What were you going to say? I feel like I
Yeah,
was just,
I forget what I think I was going to ask next too. So I'm wondering, with the juice fast, how have you been able to manage this? Like, do you still feel like you've had a lot of energy and enough energy to function? I know a lot of people, when they do a juice fast, even if it's like a 1 week, they think like they have to stay home and they're not going to have energy to work or like do anything. How has your energy been? And also like, well, I'll ask you that first and then I'll wait for the next question.
all righty, thank you. And I apologize. As soon as I start speaking, like, information
No, it's
starts
good.
stripping.
It's great. I love
Okay.
it. We love it.
Okay. Yeah. Sometimes I can go on tangents, but usually they tie back in. So thank you for the leeway there. Um, Energy has been one of the greatest benefits of the juice feast. I mean, by far. I mean, the very first week I was on it, I was sleeping 2 to 3 hours less every night. I increased my work schedule by almost 10 hours a week. I was just like, I'm just going to work harder and be more productive, earn extra money. And that has not stopped the whole entire time. It has not stopped. So yeah, I went from working like a full 40-hour week to 50 hours, like it was nothing, like it was absolutely nothing to fit in. I got busy when I started going on the juice feast for a while. I started getting a lot of questions, and the way my heart operates, I want to answer everyone's questions and be there for everyone. And it got to the point where it just wasn't possible anymore. And I'm still doing my best, but it's just not possible to balance everything, and be the one to personally answer like I'd like to. But energy has been absolutely amazing. As long as I get the calories, the only time, there's been days where I'm extremely busy, and you get so, sometimes if I'm very passionate, like if I have a very communicative day, I can imagine you've experienced this with, you have a couple of interviews within a day, you have these very high energy connections going on. My appetite goes, there's certain things in the world which has had me studying and with an open mind paying attention to some of like people who are into like the breatharian world. I wouldn't say that's my goal by any means, but like I'm very interested in what they have to say, because I have noticed like the higher my energy is spiritually, the lower my appetite is. I still require 2 to 3,000 calories a day every day where I'm at personally. But I've heard of people that I really look up to. Like I think another person you've interviewed who I absolutely adore is like Eli Martyr, and his diet, his fruitarian diet, and the amount of calories that he sometimes consumes being lower than what I consume. So both being pretty active males, probably similar, within reason, a similar size. I find it fascinating that you get efficient enough to require less calories. And so I've noticed that when my energy is higher, my appetite goes down. When I get plenty of sunshine, my appetite goes down a bit, almost to the point where I can pinpoint it down to a half to a whole juice less, just by getting 30 to 45 minutes of direct sunlight on my body. That fascinates me, because that lines up with some of what the breatharian world says. There's prana out there, energy. When you can harness it, you require less food. Some will even dare say, no food. But that's, to me, is very controversial, and that's not something I've practiced. But but I'm open. I find it fascinating. I'm kind of a progressive guy. I'm always looking to the future. I'm always like looking for the truth about things.
Yeah. And I feel like we all have to create and do whatever experience we want. If we want to experience time being a creator, being a breatharian, then okay. And if we want to experience a time on a 200-day juice cleanse, then okay. Or like, everybody has to really like do their own thing. And even with the juice cleanse, I'm not saying like, this isn't advice to people watching, go do a 200-day juice cleanse. I love sharing people's stories. And I think at the end of the day, everybody has to do their own research and make their own decisions and do what's right for them and make sure they're doing it, like being careful and things like that. And I'm wondering too, have you had anybody act like this is crazy, this 200-day juice cleanse, or have people been mostly supportive?
Overwhelmingly, everyone's been supportive. There's one, I'm not going to name anyone's names. I love the whole vegan community, the whole spiritual community. I love everyone, especially everyone who shares publicly, has the courage to share their journey publicly, no matter what their journey looks like. I adore you guys. Thank you. There was one like pretty prominent, raw vegan influencer who reached out and wasn't communicative in the way that I am, wasn't open, wasn't listening to what I was sharing. And it was around day 70, I remember. And that was like, here's what's interesting. This has been like a spiritual correlation. That was like I mentioned earlier, my time of greatest fear and hesitation to go on was between day 40 to 70. I had a lot of doubt about the microbiome theory and this and that. And will I be able to digest again? And I think the truth there is my body will not want to digest any cooked food and some of the raw foods I was eating, but it does want to digest plenty of fruit, so I don't think it kills your microbiome. I think it refines it back to what I believe is our natural state as far as appetite goes and what we're supposed to fuel our bodies with. So I love that's what my body was telling me. It was gently this little voice in the back of my head telling me. But there's a few people out there just hammering home this microbiome thing and eating this giant wide variety of like as much as you can find. And because here's another thing is you have to shed the ego to go farther in life. Because like this one person in particular, like they were in my story highlights. I was promoting their page, saying this is a great example to follow. This person is a shining example of how to succeed on a raw vegan path. And I still think they're very knowledgeable, and the majority of what they share resonates with me. Mm-hmm. But the trippy part was having someone you respect so much really kind of attack you in a non-open, non-communicative, non-listening sort of way, and be so adamant about it.
I had the same thing happen recently. This past week, I had the exact same thing happen with somebody in the raw community. I'm not going to say who it is. Like, I'm not going to even go there. Yeah. But yeah, it really threw me off. Like, it really kind of shook me up a little, not shook me up, but caught me off guard, I think is like, and like, I just think like people can disagree with people and what they're doing and stuff, but I think we just have to be more loving, and everybody's on their own journey and doing their own thing. So you might not agree with it, but to be very aggressive and just some people's approach, I don't understand, and the lack of respect. And I just think everybody, if you really love someone and support someone, then you love and support what they're doing for them, what makes them happy and wherever they're at on their path. And we're all on different paths and we're all sharing different things, but I just think there needs to be more love and respect. And even sometimes when we're thrown with those things, I think what I learned too is like sometimes with those type of people, it doesn't matter what you say. And the best thing is not to engage with them at all, whether it's somebody who's well-known who's contacting you or somebody watching who has somebody trying to start something with them because they don't agree with how they live their life or the things they do or the things they say. Some people are just looking for what's wrong with us, what we say, what we do. And they do it with everyone, some people, and they just want to like get in there, and it doesn't matter what you say or do. And I think the important thing with some people like that is to be aware of that and really avoid them, because I think any engagement sometimes with certain people, I'm not saying this was the case with this person, or like just certain people in my life, the engagement with them starts to feed it and turn it into something. So it's like if somebody really has a problem with what you're doing, okay, I respect that, right? We're not on the same path. But sometimes engaging in it is just like, it's better from what I've learned to just not engage. I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that my experience reinforced that, because I had some really sweet friends chime in and give me advice to just disengage, if necessary, block, which is a really weird feeling to block someone that you were once following so closely and stuff. But after trying a few times to comment back and reason, and I left, nice long audio text, I was really opening my heart and sharing, and they were just attacking and putting down, and so at some point my soul just took over. That's something with the juice too. Your soul just comes front and center at times, and you have like less tolerance for any BS.
And you're such a lovely person, and you're not being like, I can understand if someone's maybe being really pushy and they're going everywhere online and they're like, this is the only way. You have to do a 200-day juice cleanse, or you cannot cleanse, and stay away from a variety of food. And if you're being like that, then I can understand. But just your approach, when our approach is so non-judgmental, like even I don't judge. If people want to eat a keto diet, I don't judge them. My family's not vegan. Many of my friends are not vegan. I don't judge them. But when people start coming at you, attacking aggressively, when you're not even giving out that energy, and you're not like being like that, and you're being very open-minded, just saying, this is my experience, or this is what I'm sharing. It's not, anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
You're absolutely right. And the timing was so interesting. It was like I said, I believe life is a reflection. This is another spiritual insight that's come, that your vibration is almost absolutely everything in your life. Overall, your overall vibration is everything, and your body being that vessel, that instrument I was describing, it absolutely, it's sending out like a beacon, and your physical reality is projecting back to what's going on within you to a great extent. So I believe that the doubts and the fears that I had coming up between day 40 and 70, where I was going way beyond where I thought I would go at the onset. Like the first week, I thought, after day 7, I was like, oh, wow, I might go 14 days again, match my last longest juice feast. By 14 days, I was like, oh, wow, it seems like it's going to be pretty easy to hit 21 days. That'll be neat. But by 40, 50, this inner voice said, this might be a while. You might be one of these guys that you've been watching on YouTube, because something took over. I call it like I got up into juice orbit. Like it takes a certain amount of willpower it's like a rocket ship to break through the atmosphere. And I would say that day 40 to 70, when that happened, where like my own personal, like what they were saying to me was my own greatest concern, because I had heard it before. And I love eating. I love being healthy. I'm not going to risk my health for more health, so like I'm somewhat conservative and cautious too. I think I'm intelligent enough to take good care of myself. I was trying. I wasn't being reckless, and I live a very conventional life. I'm not like barely hanging on to society. I work full time. I'm very active. I'm very social. So like I'm pretty open-minded to everyone's opinion. But it was very fascinating. This is really deep. But my own fears, inhibitions, and doubts surfaced to the point where I was already having discussions like that with my closer friends who had juice feasted, who had more experience. And then simultaneously, that same week or 2 period, this other person who I held in a high regard comes at me as a reflecting back exactly that. And I really had to go. I had to unplug for a few days and do a lot of soul searching. And it was the last time I had a decision that was that tough was when I first discovered the raw vegan path 10.5 years ago. And I was letting go of animal products, meat, all the food I was raised on. I had my family members. I mean, that was a total, that was really something, because like everyone in my physical reality back then was basically opposed to what I was feeling called to do. That took a lot. And I was just discovering people on YouTube and stuff. So I hadn't read all the books yet and everything like that. I had no experience basically. But it was like a repeat of that. Like it just keeps going. It's like cyclical. And so I had an idea, I had an idea what was going down, and how, this person was a reflection, and it was something that I felt I had to overcome. And again, my body kept saying, you're fine. You're fine. Yes, you're going to want way less of a variety of food. Yes, you may never want potatoes again. You may never want certain foods again that most deem to be healthy, but you're going to be fine. You're going to thrive, trust me. So I always recommend, number one, listen to yourself, trust your body. Even that's why I was rocking back and forth, like raw versus raw till dinner over the past 10 and a half years. That experience served me so, so well. I was doing it consciously. If you do something like that consciously, with conscious awareness and with the desire to learn and grow, you're going to succeed through it, and that was my intention, was to figure out what is the ideal diet for human beings. I remember Googling that 10 and a half years ago, and I almost lost my mind with so much information that comes up. There's so much misinformation, conflicting information. It would drive you mad. And it's been a very fascinating journey. And at periods early on, it was like maddening and extremely confusing. And that's why I tear up now when I see how far I've come and how clear everything has become. And I'm so grateful for that, because that was like my greatest prayer. That was like my greatest desire 10 and a half years ago. And watching it all come together, like particles forming something out of thin air, has been beautiful. It's been magnificent. And anyway, that was all part of the process. So you're absolutely right. I ended up blocking, and I gave a little warning shot, like, hey, I'm not going to be able to do this again. I feel like you're not hearing me out. You're not listening, and they just persisted, and I just went block. And it's been like heaven ever since. Like no one else has no one else has presented themselves in that way to me at all. I have seen other channels and other even raw vegans, again, who I look up to, put down fruitarianism, say they don't listen to fruitarians anymore, and basically share what they feel is like, they feel like they're helping everyone, but they're basically discouraging juice feasting and stuff. What I've noticed is, like, everyone talks about the fiber, and we see charts and things where, like, oh, the fruits and veggies, they fill your belly up more because of the fiber, the bulk, and that's what's satiating us. But it's kind of debunked on the juice feast.
The thing is too, like, a juice feast isn't forever, right? So I mean,
yeah,
a juice feast isn't forever. It's a short time. And most people are not going to do 200 days. A lot of people might do one day. I know when I first did my first day, I didn't even make it through the first day. I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm going to pass out. This is crazy. This is just like, I wasn't drinking enough. But it's not forever. It's a short term. And then people need to follow what path is best for them. Like, I'm not fruitarian. I love sharing fruitarian stories. But for me and my body, I do believe in like an abundance. But still, I respect and love hearing everybody else's journey. And I just think like the juice cleanse thing, it's a short-term thing. And it does have many benefits for a lot of people. There are a lot of people who it totally transforms their life. So like that fact can't be neglected. Maybe there are cases like people have to be careful too, and like make sure they're drinking a lot. And if they are going to embark on long term, like don't do it alone. Like be very careful, I guess, right? But drink a lot. I don't really advocate water fast or dry fast. Like again, it's like things people need to do their own research on. And again, on this channel too, like I love sharing all kinds of different opinions, and I give people an open, safe space to do that. And it doesn't necessarily always mean every single thing they do, I would do, or I agree with, but I love how they're enjoying the path they're on, and love like where they're at, and respect them and give them that space. So I think too, when people come at us like that, I think even for somebody watching who people are coming at them, maybe for something they're doing at work, or just like I said before, sometimes people just like to look for what's wrong, and it's nothing you can say, even if you're trying to explain your perspective. It's almost like it makes it worse. I've learned too, like we don't need to justify or explain, because it's almost like with some of these people, it makes them think they have some power then. And I don't know, it's hard to explain. And yeah, it's blocked. In that case, you did the right thing blocking. I don't know who it was, but just hearing the situation, sometimes it's just not constructive. It's toxic energy. And it's best for us to walk away, and then, maybe unplug for a few days, go exercise, go get some sun, do things to like change your vibration. Cause it's like you were saying too, like everything is our vibration. And it's like they say, like I watch a lot of Aaron Doughty and Esther Hicks, all that kind of stuff. And I just know like the
Yeah, me
messages are
too.
like, don't look around and try and fix the people and control the people and change the things that are happening. Like nitpick them. Why are you drinking alcohol? Why are you doing this? Why are you coming at me? Like instead, change your vibration and it's all you, right? It's all within.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. I follow both of them too. It's I'll just listen to one of their videos and it recalibrates my energy sometimes. It's amazing.
me too.
Uh,
Same with Ralph
uh
Smart. I like Ralph Smart. I've been watching him a lot lately and
yeah,
he's incredible to me. He really resonates with me, you know?
absolutely. Yeah, all of them. I love them too. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. And this is a different question. I know some people will ask this and they will wonder. So I'm just wondering, have you on this like super long juice fast, have you experienced any weight loss or weight changes? Have you had a hard time like keeping on weight? How have things been in that department?
Yeah, that has been almost, aside from the physical act of juicing, which takes me 2+ hours a day because it's kind of a precious time. It's something it's kind of like I meditate. It's almost like a I don't know, a healthy routine, healthy ritual or something. It's like my juice time is like, because I'm tapping into my body, I'm asking it what it would like, which is overwhelmingly the same juices. It's almost like been a prescription that my body's asked me for on mostly fruit juices. But um why do I already forgot what you asked me.
The weight. Did you?
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited too, because that aside from, that's what I was going to say, aside from the physical act of juicing being a consideration, dealing with my weight, because ever since I went plant-based, when I was eating everything like on a standard American diet, I was about 180. When I first went high raw plant-based, like raw till dinner plant-based, my weight went down to as low as 132. I was really aggressive, like really, really raw the first few months overnight. And my weight went down to like 132. And that was really challenging at the time. But then it came up gradually to 160, which has been like my average weight. So like the picture I shared in that before and after, I was 160. I was about the 180 mark on the left before, like when I was 29. 160. That was taken about almost exactly a year ago, a little over a year ago, the after picture. And I was really happy with my weight then, but I was like including sodium. I was raw till dinner leading up to that. I definitely did prioritize working out. I used a little bit of supplements, like raw vegan supplements, like protein. I even have dabbled off and on with like creatine, which I know
Mhm.
puts on a few pounds, which I don't, nowadays I wouldn't do it again. It's very dehydrating to me, but that's a whole nother story. But so that was probably like, you know, yeah, I was in like I guess that was like my healthiest or heaviest weight, like on a raw till dinner, like lifestyle or fully raw lifestyle. Um, the first 40 to 50 days, my weight went down so steadily to from like, so I did those 4 months leading up to the juices where I was high liquid, very high raw. And my weight went from like 160 to 155, 153. So starting the juice feast, I was mid 150s, let's say. And right now I'm like 133, I would say again. It
Mhm.
seems like when I go very, very, very clean, that's like the floor where my body wants to cut down to. But
Mhm.
what is fascinating was I got to this weight, about 20 pounds came off within 40 to 50 days, very swiftly. And again, that was a little alarming. I'm like, when's this going to end? How low is my weight going to go? It's interesting because in my mind, I thought,
Mhm.
if it goes below 130, I may have to just slow down the detox and I'll just go fruitarian and, include the fiber again and some salads and things like that. So in the back of my mind, that was kind of my plan. Interestingly, it never dropped below like that 133 mark. Thank goodness, because it allowed me to keep going. I don't know if my ego could have like dealt with it. It's really challenging. It pushes
Yeah.
you. I've learned you have to shed your ego to really allow your soul to kind of soar, at least for me. But anyway, so yes, 20 pounds came off pretty swiftly within a month to 2 months. But what's fascinating to me is I have had bowel movements like literally every day except for 3 to 5 days, maybe out of the 200. I would
Wow.
skip a day, or you'd still feel like you kind of have to go, but they'd be so minimal that I wouldn't even consider it like a bowel movement or like a release of any sort. But
Mhm.
there's only been a handful of days where that happened. And then overwhelmingly, like every time, the following day within 48 hours, it's almost like your body catches up and you have a greater release than you had. It's very like cyclical. You could actually feel it kind of going on. Sometimes I'll notice like some dark or fearful thoughts, some worrisome thoughts, kind of like permeating my consciousness, where I have to more consciously watch some additional Abraham Hicks or Ralph Smart or Aaron or whatever to recalibrate. I have to like work on, I'm like, why is this happening? What's going on? And then I notice like I have like significant bowel movements, old stuff, old matter leaving. And then I feel higher than I did before, which is amazing to me. It's so fascinating that there's a connection there, old emotions and stuff coming out and then being passed through. So anyway, what's fascinating is I've had bowel movements almost every single day, but yet my weight has stayed consistent. So it went to like, let's say 135, 40 to 50 days into the juice feast. And it stayed within 2 pounds of that the whole rest of the time. So to me, that's amazing. So obviously, like, because every time you use the restroom, it weighs something, 1/8 of a pound, a quarter. I don't know. I've never weighed anything, but like, there's weight there. There's bulk. It's significant. So obviously, my body's regenerating new cells and building and stuff just off of juice, which blows my mind. And what's also equally fascinating that I think is important is even without the fiber, I'm so satiated. So that tells you it's not really the fiber that fills up your stomach that turns off your appetite. I believe it's the nutrients. It's the nutrient density in whatever the food is. That's why a raw vegan diet is so satiating and surprises people, because it's very nutrient dense. The juice feast is incredibly, incredibly nutrient dense. And it's so easy to, imagine most people they do have what you would call mucoid plaque or encrusted waste lining their 30 plus feet of intestine. You would have to imagine that the juices would seep through that waste. It would be more easily absorbable than if you were putting food in and maybe not chewing as well as you could, or maybe not digesting that well. Like I believe intuitively I had some malabsorption issues that were limiting my performance, my ability to bulk up even more, get even stronger on raw plant foods. So that was, I guess, you asked earlier, we're finally coming back to it. One of my driving forces was just simply to allow my body some space to heal whatever it feels like it needs to. And also I felt intuitively, I still had blockages there, my lower abdominal area, some congestion. And I felt like I had some malabsorption going on. Like I wasn't as efficient as I could be. My grocery bill has been like, my top priority for over 10 years now. And it's pretty significant. And I just eat a ton. And I'm like, wow, it just seems like I've plateaued. I can't really break through that like 160 mark. There's raw vegans out there that are like, I'm 200 pounds, I'm strong, I'm building. So I'm really into like, building my body aesthetically for performance reasons, for both spiritually, mentally, physically as well, performance reasons. And so I don't know, there wasn't like a major health issue or anything leading me to the juice feast, aside from overall wanting to improve my health overall. And really aside from the fact that something took over on autopilot after like, let's say the 40-day mark. And here I am, truly, I don't.
And what has it, if you don't mind me asking, like how has the cost been of the juice cleanse? I know a lot of people think to juice, it's like really, really, really expensive. Has that been the case for you?
It's, I've been very, like I was saying, I'm not, so I agree with you regarding fasting, for example. Last time I ever water fasted was probably one single day. I've probably only done it a couple times in my life. Prior to 10.5 years ago, when I was eating a SAD diet, when I had like the flu, and I literally had no appetite because my fever was so high that I couldn't get out of bed. That's probably the last time I went a day without eating anything. If I even ever did that, probably I ate some soup or something. But like, so I'm the same as you. I believe in feeding our bodies in abundance. And I just simply haven't been called to water fast or dry fast.
And yeah, if people are called to do a water fast, then hey, I know people that do it and they love it. Then I support that too. But yeah.
Yeah. If your body asks you to, and it's truly your body saying, hey, I need this. Absolutely. If it does that to me, I'll be the first one in line. I'll start doing it. For some reason, for me, it's been a high calorie, high carb, as clean as possible path, But yeah, the grocery bill, because I'm quite abundant, and because I also, like I said, I'm somewhat conservative in my thinking and, wanted the highest quality fruit, the widest variety fruit for the juice feast. I figure if I'm limiting myself to juices, I want like the best. Which still doesn't mean I'm going to like, there are some amazing markets here where I live, but you know, there were weeks on end where every single grocery haul was from Costco.
Mm-hmm.
And they surprised me all winter. We had amazing watermelons all winter down here at Costco, and grapes. And I'm not picky with organic, just by the way. Maybe 30% of my produce is organic. Certain things I'm picky, like greens, for example. But like a lot of my fruits hasn't been organic. Like my pineapples haven't, my watermelons haven't. My grapes were until they weren't anymore. Like the organic grapes went away. So I just washed the heck out of them. You know, I do like a whole bag of grapes every day. So that's like 21 pounds of grapes a week. I'm doing like 45 pounds or so of apples a week.
And you're making everything fresh, right?
Everything is fresh. I mean, even to the extent in which I went with my dad to, you know, like a healthy restaurant for lunch. I ordered a juice and it wasn't strained. And this was early on when I was straining. I think I took 2 sips of it and I was like, it's not strained enough. So I asked for a to-go cup, brought it home. I strained it and I drank it. Like, I was really, really picky, but maybe on 2 occasions, I drank like a juice bar juice, like literally a single juice. The rest have come through my own hands in my own kitchen. And it's been a very valuable part of the process to me. Everything from the shopping. I like to be alone when I go to the store. I'm tuning into the produce, checking in with my body. What would you like? I'm carefully like examining the fruit, hand selecting my melons, looking for certain things. It's like you become like the watermelon whisperer or something. You learn how to connect with your produce before you choose it, and then it becomes a part of you. It's hard to describe. I'm probably being a little extra right now, but the juices really make you very sensitive to stuff like this. So
no, it's great. You got to own that extra. I love it. So I'm wondering, how many juices a day did you drink? Because people might wonder. And did you use any herbs?
Okay. So, and just to give you an idea, like right now, like I average about 200 a week. I didn't answer that, but 200 a week on my produce.
Okay.
It's been as low as like 150. Sometimes I'll have leftover melons and I don't have to buy as much for the following week. So 150 to 225. And again, that's just me. Like, fortunately, the way my life's organized, I can do that comfortably, you know, but, the watermelons are insane right now. They're amazing. Like one $5 watermelon here can get you like 7, 8, even up to 9 32-ounce juices, like enough for a whole day. Right now I'm averaging 7 32-ounce like mason jars per day. Early on it was 8. The highest I ever went was 9 one day. I was like very active and feeling hungry. And the lowest I think I've ever had on like a day off where I was just lounging, chilling, was like 5 or 6. Usually 6 is like the low end. I don't ever like to go to sleep with the slightest bit of hunger in my body. Definitely on juices. I'm not intentionally intermittent fasting or anything. When I was raw till dinner, the heavier dinners would naturally lead me to want to intermittent fast a bit in the morning. Like for 2-3 hours, my body's like, I'm still working on what you put in last night. That is certainly not the case on the juice feast. Even when I'm fully raw, usually like high fruit raw, I wake up pretty hungry. So I'll wait like an hour. I'll sip on some water. I'll do some exercising or take a walk or something, get some sun, and then I'll start hitting the juices. But yeah, so, you know, so it's possible, especially for a shorter, like a 3-day juice feast or a 7-day, you can just do like melon juices and it can be $5 a day. It can be the most reasonable, you know, abundant, because watermelon is one of the best vibes. Like it's energizing, but it's like a mellow, very hydrating. You know, actually watermelon's like one of the fruits with like the highest protein content, believe it or not. Like I punched watermelon in Chronometer last week to show a friend of mine. If I assumed like 2,700 calories of all watermelon, it was like 65 grams of protein or something, which to me, that's pretty amazing. You know, it's impressive.
I've heard that about watermelon.
Yeah. And it's extremely satiating. So it can be as little as $5 a day. You can go 7 days and do a reset. Those shorter juice feasts, like I think I did 1 day to begin, then I went 3 days, then 7 days, and then eventually 14 days. And what was fascinating was each of those, like one single day on juice, or even one single day raw, if you do like, you know, a really clean day on raw, it'll change your life if you pay attention, because you'll you'll feel that much better. I don't know about anyone else, but I wake up, and this has been like a driving, like a motivating force, waking up in the morning and feeling that sense of ease, and like I dream better when I'm raw. I wake up feeling in alignment with my surroundings, with nature, with the universe. Something inside me confirms I'm doing the right thing, and brings me harmony and peace and balance. And I really feel that in the morning time. So anyway, but yeah, it's been beautiful. Everything, every
Beautiful.
aspect of it.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. And have you tracked your calories at all with the juices? Like, do you know what you're getting in a day?
I've come across people like, and I think there's solid food vacation group on Facebook I'm in. I've come across charts and literature people have put together based on like John Rose's experience. And so they say like most 32-ounce mason jar, especially if it's like a calorie dense fruit or something, would be 300 to 400 calories each. So I've roughly estimated, because it's really hard to count calories. You can't weigh it. It's different than like weighing real watermelon or something. Because I have tracked my calories extensively the past 10 and a half years, not the entire time, but for 2 to 3 months at a time, at multiple times, as my diet has adjusted and gotten higher raw. And I was astonished to see that like my higher raw days, or fully raw days, or even like fully fruit days, were so nutrient dense on Chronometer.
Wow.
Even compared to when I was incorporating like cans of beans and lentils and things like that. It's astonished me how good I felt, how well I performed, and how complete the Chronometer feedback was. But so I have a really great idea of how much I tell everyone. It's almost like a tagline. Like, I crush any cravings with an abundance of calories and carbohydrates. Like, going way back to when I first started discovering YouTubers and stuff, truly like Durian Rider Freely, like the 30 Bad community, those guys, 80-10-10 community, where it's like all about carbing up. And it's true, like sleep, water, sugar, like get plenty of rest, stay hydrated, and get your sugar, which AKA is like simple carbohydrate, like AKA fruit, tender leafy greens, non-sweet fruits that most people think are like veggies, get your simple carbohydrates in and you'll thrive. Second best is like, if you have to at dinner time, get some complex carbohydrates in if you have to, if you're in a pinch or traveling or whatever. And that's what I've gone by. So I really lean heavily, and it's so true. Anytime, I've been assisting a couple of people who are juicing right now, just sharing my experience with them. I'm like, if your cravings start to increase, which is normal, just have your juices on hand. Don't ever be unprepared. I always have a backpack cooler. I mean, my roommates and I were into juicing. We have like probably 36 mason jars throughout the kitchen. Like, I'm really fortunate. My whole house is geared towards raw vegan lifestyle and the juice feast I'm on. But I have plenty of mason jars, plenty of accessories. Like, I love these guys. These are like mason tops. They turn your mason jar into a blender bottle, pretty much. Real convenient.
Awesome.
Like, you can drink in the car, drink on the go, drink at work. That's something I've always done when I'm working. It's so much easier to drink my calories than to sit down and eat. So yeah, the backpack cooler is literally like it's an essential item for me, and the ice packs, because I can fit I can fit all my juices for the day in there. Like yesterday I had a family day. We were at the beach all day. I spent a lot of time, at my dad's. My sister was in town, and I bring all my juices. I either prep the night before or the morning of, and I make enough to get me through the day every single day, plus extra, because I also love sharing my juices. I love pouring samples or sharing as much as I can. And you never know what's going to come up. So yeah, it's important. Preparation is important, and staying carved up is super, super, super important to me. I really believe that.
And I'm wondering, have you done any colonics or enemas on the cleanse or no?
Absolutely not. No. I've had one colon hydrotherapy session way back, like 10 years ago, when I first came into the lifestyle. It was a positive experience. I mean, I can't say it's as pleasant as like just going about your day. It's kind of an awkward, it was a little awkward experience for me, but like, it was fine. I absolutely think it's beneficial to some people. I just haven't been called to. There's like that same voice that's saying, hey, let's go another day. Let's go another day. It's also saying, hey, let's go about this differently, and let's go about it in a real pure form. let's not do the clay. Let's not do the psyllium husk. Let's not do any enemas. It actually, certain juices. So like what I find real fascinating too is the protocol that my body has prescribed for me. It took about a week and a half for my body to kind of, when I first dove in, I went bonkers. I was like, I want to keep my protein high. I want to keep my calories high. I was doing carrots. I was doing sweet potatoes. I was doing like lots of greens, lemon ginger blasts every day. And my body, and I was also doing incredible fruit juices, melon juices, like not just watermelon, but like hammy melons and honeydew, which is incredible to juice. Pineapple, apples, with pineapple, just making delicious fruit juices. And my body really, really wanted the fruit juices. So the veggie juices for me paled in comparison. They actually were a whole different vibration. Like, especially like sweet potato, it wasn't like I had all sweet potatoes, but like having sweet potato, carrot, apple, ginger, like it sounded good to me in theory. Like, oh, that's kind of a savory, like almost like autumny, like latte type. Like it seemed like it would be a really great flavor combination, which it actually was. But what was really fascinating after only a few days on juices, the vibration, the feeling that the juice would bring me as I drank it and after was really interesting to me. Even like I put some red bell pepper in my juices occasionally. And I don't know, I think they're considered a nightshade. There's something to them where like my thoughts are different after.
Yeah,
Like,
that reminds me. I was listening to Aaron Doughty yesterday, one of the original videos he did, and he said something like, "What you eat literally becomes you. Like you become
yeah,
that. It becomes you." So that just reminded me of that. You saying that?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's very true. And there is fruit is different. Once I did a Rainbow Island cleanse once, like a group cleanse, where you eat all red fruits one day and then orange the next day, and then yellow. And you go through 7 days, targeting like each chakra each day with different color fruits. And that was really powerful. And ever since, I pay attention to like how there's frequency behind what we eat. There's color. The color has a certain place on the frequency spectrum, apparently, and a vibratory place. It's really, really interesting. And how like pineapple, like, I don't know. Uh, it's just interesting how each fruit affects your body. Like pineapple seems to really open up, like, my crown chakra. It, they say like when I did the 7-day mono fruit island, the Rainbow Island cleanse, like pineapples look like a crown. They seem to open your crown chakra. The crown color was white and gold, like your 6, 7 chakras, if I remember correctly. And a ripe pineapple is rather golden in color. And they literally seem to do that. Like when I drink my pineapple juice, it's like my first 3 to 4 juices are melon juices. My favorite overwhelmingly is watermelon, but like it can be any melon juices. That's how I like to start my day. And then my body distinctly wants me to transition into my pineapple. It's like pineapple, apple. Sometimes I'll add citrus. I added nectarines yesterday. It's like mind-blowingly delicious. So like pineapple, apple, nectarine, a little squeeze of lime, and it's like so good. But when I drink that, I'm in like, I don't know, all gears are activated. I'm like very sharp, very clear, very assertive. Like it does something. And then my last juice of the day has been my grape juice, like a whole 3-pound bag of grapes. The rest is apples, and it's enough to make. I'll either do a real simple grape lemon, which makes like 1 jar. I may add a couple apples if necessary to make 32 ounces, or it'll be 2 jars and I'll add like grapes and enough apples to stretch it to 2 jars with lemon. And they're all very, very astringent, very, very detoxifying, but also very energizing and very high vibration, vibration juices that seem to be affecting my consciousness a lot. And so when I experiment too much or further with the veggie juices, which I really don't crave hardly at all, I think I've been averaging 1 to 2 green juices a week the past 6 months,
Wow.
But I do crave some. I want to kind of like share that with everyone. I do crave some celery juice. I don't drink it plain. I don't drink like 32 ounces of plain celery juice on an empty stomach. I like my fruit juices first. I do the green at the end of the day, typically. But I'll do like 3 or 4 stalks of celery, like individual stalks, like ribs of celery. And the rest will be apple and lemon, maybe a touch of ginger. So like herb wise, coming back to that.
Yeah.
Not really. I didn't go heavy. I don't know. Like early on, my lemon ginger blast, I put some parsley and cilantro. some ginger and turmeric and stuff like that. But no, I don't know. I didn't go heavy on herbs or any kind of supplements or supplemental herbs or anything like that.
Okay.
And I stopped. At some point, I'm like, I don't love the flavor of cilantro in my juice, really, generally. And once in a while, yeah, I might crave it. To me, all of those, I think the greens are more medicinal to me. They're more supplemental. Like if someone said, did you supplement? I'm like, yeah, I supplement with sunshine. I supplement with some greens. I supplement with some celery to get some maybe additional mineral salts. There's something in there that my body wants, a little bit of celery juice each week, but it's way less than most people would probably imagine. Like literally it's a challenge to finish one whole head of celery per week for me. And the same with greens, one head of greens a week, like green leaf lettuce or something. Sometimes I'll sneak the greens and celery into my grape juice because I don't even want to make it a whole, I just kind of want to disguise the flavor, but I do enjoy something it does, but it's kind of supplemental. So if anything, those are my supplements. And as far as like, I wouldn't be opposed to enemas. It's just, I own, like, it's so funny. I own like an enema bag, but I've never used it. But I have
think maybe
things
on
like
a juice cleanse though, it might be too much on like a cleanse to do the enemas. I think it might just flush out too much. Whenever I've done them, I did a parasite cleanse and I did them a few years ago when I was eating like a lot. That's just what my gut tells me. Maybe people do it and they're successful on a juice cleanse or a fast, but I don't know. I would think maybe it's flushing out a bit too much, but I don't know.
It could be. It's I definitely think it's something in an emergency, like almost like you ate something that's poisoning you.
Food poisoning or hangovers of people like that sort of thing. Yeah. And if you're doing a cleanse, like when I did the parasite cleanse or like, and I don't know, the more I learn about the microbiome and like, I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea to do too many. That's what, from my research I've seen with some people, but that's my thing. That's where I'm at right now.
And that's what my experience has been similar. I haven't done another colon hydrotherapy session. I actually called and reached out. I know of 2 near my home. I connected directly with the practitioners just to have them on deck to find out how booked are you? How quickly can I get in if I need to? Because again, I'm like really doing this responsibly, in my opinion. I'm thinking about everything. I've been like tenaciously researching all along. Like when I'm juicing, I'm either like jamming out some music with headphones on, or most of the time I'm listening to YouTube videos, continually learning.
YouTube's the best.
It absolutely is. I'm like a really pretty strong ambassador for it. Like I don't even have a Netflix account, but I have a premium YouTube subscription because
I don't even watch TV. I just watch YouTube. Me too. I just watch YouTube.
Yeah, me too. It's like, it's the most potent source of knowledge, wisdom, inspiration to me, where it's like the least clouded by anything else. So I'm with you.
Yeah. There. I want to ask you too. I know you're talking a little bit about shedding the ego. You seem really spiritual and you're in a very connected place right now. So I feel like we might get some great wisdom here. Do you think there's any tips or advice you could give someone out there for ways that they could work on shedding their ego and not being maybe so defensive or so caught up in their ego in their life? Like any books or any practices or anything that you think they could do to just kind of work on shedding that ego? Or if nothing comes to mind, then that's okay too.
I know. I mean, that's an excellent, amazing, powerful question. And what did come to mind immediately was exactly what like my plant medicine journeys shared with me. It's the raw vegan path, like the low fat raw vegan path, the high fruit raw vegan path, fruit. That will, in my experience, that will take care of everything else. And I don't even know if it would have been possible, the way I feel about it, if it would have been possible for me to overcome it in any other way, is how I feel about it. Like, I don't feel like I can outsmart, I like, no matter how much I focused on the mind, I believe everything's connected, mind, body, spirit. So early on, I started out working on my mind, positive, when I was like 16, way back, reading books that were more mental, more business minded, how to succeed in life and business, but it was more mental, I guess. And that led naturally, it progressed into some, Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, certain people popped up onto my radar way back then. And like a lot of the Hay House publishers and stuff that were amazing, like Louise Hay. And it led me into the spiritual side more, but I was still like very gluttonous, very much on the sad diet, totally ignorant, and not even knowing that there was a better way to care for my body, or that it mattered at all. So naturally, just with the seed, planting a seed, the desire, the intention to live my best life, to alleviate suffering in my life and struggle and be successful, however I define success later on in life, it led me that way, starting with the mental side into the spiritual. And then it took many, many years, but I was 34 when it led me to the correlation between the mental, spiritual, and the physical, where the diet came into play. And my life was more of a struggle all the way leading up to age 34. And as soon as I started incorporating all of the raw foods, like the raw living foods, the fruit, I was doing lots of greens, greens associated with the fourth chakra, like your heart. My heart started opening. My life just transformed. My relationships, certain relationships fell away almost instantly. Other relationships came to like the forefront. I started to see things more clearly and change my priorities. And so that's been the most powerful practice. Aside from that, like Abraham Hicks has been huge in my life. Anybody who has probably the same vibrational signature as the fruit does, like Aaron Doughty's excellent, Abraham Hicks, like you said, Infinite Waters, Ralph Smart, excellent. They vibrate real high. It's beautiful.
They do.
And I find, yeah. And so anything that brings you up, and for some, it could be meditation. I definitely need a certain amount of like alone time every day, time in nature. Just taking a walk around the block, focus on breathing deeply is like transformational for me. Learning a little bit about breath work. I'm not one of these guys who does breath work for an hour a day or even meditates. I feel like life is a walking meditation to me now. I don't have time to, I'm sure I do. And they say, if you don't have time, then you need to make the time. And that's probably so true. It's not like I don't have the time or I couldn't make the time, because I make like 2 to 3 hours a day often for juicing. I can do it. I do enjoy other things like using my body, working out, getting sunlight, going, and when I'm getting sunlight, it is very much a meditation. I like to be alone, like quiet in silence. I literally feel like the sun beams like it. There's something that let's just say it increases my inspiration. I feel like I'm receiving downloads from the sun in a way. I always feel extra outgoing. I feel extra inspired. Let's say that when I'm in the sun. I think a lot of the nutrition we get in the fruits and vegetables, it's the same, that the sun is like the direct source of that. And the plants act as like solar panels. They collect it. And there's some beautiful, like the doctrine of signatures is like mind blowing, but like an orange looks like a little miniature sun. And it has like a lot of the same vitamins and minerals as, vitamins as the sun gives you.
I know, it's unbelievable.
And oranges are abundant in the winter when the sun is scarce and hard to find. Oranges are like nature gives you oranges, little baby suns. Like, come on, like this is gorgeous. Like the synergy.
It is.
I kid you not. I can't even like talk about this stuff. I get choked up. The synergy and the magnificence of the world around us is beautiful.
Well, I feel like you're just on the most beautiful experience. This is just beautiful. And I want to thank you so much for sitting down with us today. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. And I'm super grateful for it. And I know the viewers, I'm sure, have really loved it as well. And I just want to ask too, where can everybody find you? And I'll link everything below. And do you have any closing words that you feel called to say? And if not, that's all right too.
Thank you so much, Gillian. It's been such a pleasure connecting with you. And gosh, people can find me. Instagram's like my main platform right now. So it's raw.alchemy at Instagram, is a period between raw and alchemy. I have a YouTube channel that's Raw Alchemy. I can't remember if I had to use the period or not, but I don't have any public videos as of now. I've been vlogging real casual, like driving to work, turn on my iPhone in the car, mount it, turn it on and talk, vlogging my experience. I have 40 to 50 videos recorded, which it's just fascinating even to see how I look throughout the process. That's kind of half the reason I did it, to make sure, I wasn't looking I'm leaner than I like to be, but I do look healthy when I see myself. I feel healthy, but like I wanted to make sure I wasn't getting too lean, or I should be concerned. So I am documenting it in some way. And I think that I didn't intend to at the beginning, but now the way the juices have opened me up more and the way I'm feeling now, I may just upload those and start a YouTube channel. So
Do
if
it.
you're
Yeah.
interested, maybe keep your eye on that channel, anybody out there, but Instagram is where I hang out almost all the time. And I'm also, on Facebook. Feel free to reach out, but it's just my personal page, John Bordenaro on Facebook. But I don't know what it is. I don't resonate with Facebook as much. I don't go on there as much. It's funny. It's so weird. It's one of those energy things, but I do check in as much as I can. But that's about it. Ultimately, I want to thank you so much, Gillian, because your channel, your amazing questions, your amazing guest has been really instrumental in this juice feast, which has been really, really profound for me. So
I'm so happy to hear that. I love that.
Yeah.
I just love when the videos can inspire people, add value, and I just try add as much as I can in every single video. And I know different people resonate with different people, different experiences resonate with different people, and I just love sharing all the goodness. So again, thank you so much. I'll link everything below, and I look forward to maybe having you back on in the future, talking about the raw foods or seeing updates of where you're at. Maybe who knows how long you're going to go. We'll stay in touch for sure. That would be amazing. And to the viewers, I hope you guys love this. I hope you got some value. If you did, give it a big thumbs up and make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.